everyone, it's Justine and welcome to another video for my April collaboration series. I was super inspired by Ingrid's beautiful kissing technique cards that I thought I would feature this for today's collaboration, which is going back to basics. Today's collaboration is with the talented Laurel Beard, Teresa, as well as Lindsay, and I have all their videos linked below in the video description for you to check out when you're done. Don't forget to link, subscribe, and comment and let them know that you're coming from my channel. Let's get straight into it. So the one thing I like about this technique is that you don't need many supplies. A couple of stamps will simply do and some ink. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be inking up a rubber stamp here. This is the Watercolor Stripe stamp from Right at Home with some Tiki Torch ink from Catherine Pooler Designs. I'm then going to lay my paper on the corner of the stamp or the corner of the MISTI. It's completely up to you whether you use a MISTI. I just wanted that extra assurance that my lines were going to line up nicely because I need to stamp my paper in the same way twice. Now I could have also kept this stamp over on my plexiglass and then stamped it down as well, but then I would have gotten a little bit of a corner on my cardstock where the stamp meets the MISTI. So I decided to do it this way instead. And I think it's just better for even pressure, and then that rubber stamp is also pretty hard, so even though the MISTI will stamp it, sometimes it does fall off, and I didn't want to risk that happening. So now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to ink up another stamp. I wanted something this time with fine details. So you'll notice the first stamp I chose had very thick details, lots of solid space, whereas this one has all these fine details. This is a floral stamp from My Favorite Things, and I use it very, very often in my cards. I absolutely love it. Now I'm going to take the corner of that stamp and just kind of line it up with my stamp here, and I'm just going to press down. So I'm stamping on a stamp, literally. And I'm just going to press down on my fingers, applying even pressure there, and I'm going to lift it up. This is a part where you have to be really careful. You have to make sure you don't slide your stamp in any way. You lift it straight up and down. Mine slid a little bit on the top, but nothing that I'm super concerned about. And you're going to see that it is stamped now on my rubber stamp, that design. So I'm going to lay my card back over top, put my computer paper back on top and give it a rub, and that image is going to come off right on the colored areas that I've already stamped. You could have skipped the first part of inking up a solid color as well if you just wanted a black and white card. I just decided to add that extra step to show you how to stretch your stamps a little more. So you can see they're all purposely inside of the lines and they look super stunning. Then all I did to finish off the card was I added a simple Love You from Pretty Pink Posh. This is a really pretty thin die cut, and I'm adhering that with some deluxe adhesive from Nuvo. New from Nuvo are these really gorgeous stone drops, and these are similar to Nuvo drops. They're matte, but when they dry, they have a little bit of a texture like a stone or a rock. So these have a really neat texture on top, and I wanted to use them for the cards in this video. They're just super pretty when they're all finished, and I'll give you a little bit of a close-up later. Now for my next one, instead of using rubber stamps, I thought I'd use some cling stamps. These are a little bit easier to line up because you can see through your stamp. However, you do need a little bit of a steady hand. So I'm going to be using a brand new stamp from Altenew called A Study in Watercolor, and I'm going to stamp this large solid flower on top of my cardstock. I'm stamping this in some really pretty yellow ink, some Limoncello ink, and I'm just stamping that down onto the surface of my cardstock. Now, I'm not using a messy stamping tool because I trust my Catherine Pooler inks to stamp a solid image, even if it is the first time stamping, and you can see it stamped it really well. I'm going to take up that same detailed stamp that I used in the first card, and I'm going to ink it up once again with the floral pattern. I'm going to take my block and I'm simply going to press it onto the design anywhere that I particularly like of the pattern, and I'm going to go ahead, hover over my stamp, and then stamp that down onto the card. Another way that you can do this, and I wanted to show this option as well if you do have a stamping tool, is you can go ahead and do the same thing. You can ink up your solid stamp here in the MISTI stamping tool, and that way you have a little bit more of an assurance that things are going to stamp properly, and you don't have to worry about hovering over your stamp at all. So I've stamped down the yellow beautiful flower here. It's absolutely stunning. I love this one, but I think it looks even cooler with some detail. You can then lay in the rubber stamp just somewhere over top of that design, as long as you go ahead and you'll be okay. Even if you leave the foam in on the Misty, I left the foam in. You can take the foam out. It's completely up to you. It will seem like it's a little bit of a, as if you're forcing it down when the foam is in, but it still picked up the image with no issue. So I'm going in with that ink again, and I'm going to go ahead and close the door of my Misty, pick up that design, and then as long as my cardstock, once again, is in the corner of my Misty where it should be, then it's going to stamp again over top without having to worry about hovering or being in the correct spot. Completely up to you and what kind of tools you are using. I'm going to go ahead and add my last sentiment die on here, and this is the beautiful Prayers die. And I'm going to, you can see that I've added some of those stone drops already on the card. And you can just see how stunning that black sentiment is against the yellow and the white, and the stone drops and what kind of texture they give you. So for this last card here, I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit of a patterned background. So I am going to speed you up a little bit just to speed up the stamping. And I want to show you how you can stamp these stretch these stamps even more. So instead of doing a black and a color or just simply the black detailed image in the stamp, you can stamp in a variety of colors as your accent. So in the yellow, for example, I stamped orange. In the orange flower, I stamped brown. It's completely up to you what you want to use. This stamp here is called Crazy Daisy, and it had some really beautiful solid flowers, and this actually comes as a stamp and stencil technique together, both as a package from Thermoweb, and it's a really cool design. So I'm just going to go ahead and interchange the yellow, the orange, the brown, and all the different accent colors and create my own little background. I think it's going to look really pretty, and you can as well use any area of those patterned stamps. The patterned stamp or the background stamp that I'm using here is called Doodle Garden from Catherine Pooler. It's one of my favorite detailed stamps as well. And so I just keep inking up various areas just to keep a nice variety as I'm going along. And sometimes I actually had a little bit of contamination there, I think, between the orange and the brown, and I really like the way that that turned out as well. So I'm not really super concerned about contaminating my inks here because I keep inking up different areas of my stamp. So now I have this sort of boho chic background here, but I thought it was looking a little bit sparse, so I went ahead and I added a couple of little extra touches by adding some of these flowers here just to fill up some white space. So I wanted to show off those stone drops just to you in a little bit more detail. So when I was applying them, what I did notice is they seem to be a little bit more fluid or a little bit more liquidy than a Nuvo drop, and they also come out a little bit quicker. It seems that, I'm not sure if the actual nozzle of it is wider set, but they did seem to come out a little bit quicker than the others. They almost appeared to be like a foam rather than a liquid when they came out, and I think that may be why it gets the texture the way it is. The stone drops are brand new, and I believe they come in 8 different colors. And when they're all dry, as I said, they have a texture like a rock. And so it has a little bit of that gritty sort of look to it when they're all there. And I hope the camera is picking it up, but if it isn't, it is looking quite beautiful. Just something different to add to your little Nuvo family. I also have a little bit of an up-close look here at them so you can really see that texture in case the camera didn't pick it up well. So thanks for watching my video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I do have a video suggestion below, but I do recommend checking out Laurel, Lindsay, and Teresa's video after mine, which I have linked below in the video description. So thanks so much for watching, and also for all your support in the collaboration series this month. Bye!